a pleasant good morning to another edition of the Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television. Today being Thursday, the 18th of July 2019. We broadcast live from our Media One Center, 3 Mama Street, Brookfields in Freeton. Top stories in the program. The Director General Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kaba, has expressed optimism that with the growth and development of the petroleum unit, the country will realize full economic viability of the sector under the current government's new direction. The Consortium for the Advancement of the Right for Key Population, CAPAC, a leading civil society organization working on health issues supported by the Global Fund through the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, implemented community system strengthening and linkages to the health system, has held a one-day orientation program for senior reporters, editors and managers of media houses on national HIV and AIDS and TB response on the 2018 country report on Thursday, 17 July 2019 at the Kona Lodge in Freeton. All these, including sport, will be part of our program. We recall a situation where the Constitutional Review Committee, CRC, has concluded its deliberation. Consequently, the CRC formally presented a draft copy of the Constitution and a report to the National Advisory Council on Thursday, 11 July 2019. But what the public opinion is in respect of the draft Constitution, especially in grey areas, that still leads to further absurdity. Sidia Tunis is a Deputy Publicity Secretary for the main opposition All People's Congress Party. He's here with me to take the discussion further bordering on those areas. Mr. Tunis, it's been a while. Good morning. Great to have you in the studios.
Good morning. It's good to be here this morning.
I know. How is life going?
Well, I've been very busy with the constitutional review and other private and party activities, but life has been good.
Do you see this job of reviewing the Constitution pretty much challenging?
I would say it was challenging, but at the same time very much educative, informative, and interesting. We learned a lot throughout the course of our deliberations in drafting a new constitution, and we've gained so much knowledge from one another and from the general party membership.
Are you optimistic that there will be a collective consensus at the end of the day?
I am, because we started building consensus from the beginning. We started with involving our membership, and we are continuing in that manner. So at the end of the day, I think everyone will own up to whatever we come up with as our new constitution.
Are you looking forward to a situation where many people will want to describe the reviewed constitution of the APC as a very good document, but it ought to have been better?
Well, I'm looking forward to a situation wherein many will describe the constitution as a very good document and one that will serve the party many years to come. Abdurrahman, times change regularly, and situations change regularly. So whatever we have produced at the moment, we hope will serve the party and this nation for many years to come.
Still with me in the studio, he's Sidia Tunis, the Deputy Public Secretary for the main opposition All People's Congress Party. He's here with me today in the studio to talk on very many issues bordering on the development and growth of the party. Remember, the Star Good Morning Show is proudly sponsored by Rokel Commercial Bank.
SimCorp allow old and young to make deposit and withdraw cash from their account at any time and anywhere. With Rokel Commercial Bank SimCorp, you can send and receive money at any place and any time. Rokel Commercial Bank don't make life better for we all.
Most welcome back from that commercial break. We move along with the program. The Director General Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kaba, has expressed optimism that with the growth and development of petroleum units, the country will realize full economic viability of the sector under the current government's new direction. Leonard Rajawara has details of this report.
Commenting on the state of the sector, the Director General, Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kabar, said he has fully integrates views of stakeholders on the value chains in the oil and gas sector. Timothy Kabar expressed optimism that with the growth and development of the petroleum unit, the country will realize full economic viability of the sector under the current government's new direction. He intimated that the offshore waters of Sierra Leone contain proven petroleum systems, the understanding of which is supported by an inventory of extremely high quality geological and geophysical data, with much of this data being made available for the first time. He furthered that the country's fourth licensing round has granted significant levels of interest from the international oil and gas industry, as revealed by Jonathan Kopos.
What we've been able to do is to restore trust, confidence, and also to sell an opportunity that has clear vision and direction. So the industry has responded to our clarity and our sincerity, and I think that is what is now magnetizing companies that have got pronounced corporate integrity. They're now associating themselves with our opportunities here because what we're offering, the landscape that we've created, screens against their organizational expectation. So that is why we're now seeing in people engaging us, people bringing discussions of coming to Sierra Leone. So we're quite optimistic. And I must say this, if Sierra Leone is to progress, if Sierra Leone is to get in the desired investment that it requires, every sector in this country, including the oil and gas, should serve as a gold standard which other countries will emulate from. In the oil and gas sector, that is what we're trying to do, to provide a very competitive landscape for investment.
As the new Presidious Group in Ghana in 2018, both the head of the Ghana National Petroleum Company, Professor Sapong, and the Director General, Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kabar, agreed to enter into a binary relationship to bring together industry players from across the continent, which include international oil companies, national oil companies, oil and gas service companies, independent oil companies, oil and gas financiers, regulators, and industry commentators, among other stakeholders, to discuss trends, innovations, and strategies towards maintaining a lead in the volatile oil and gas sector. Following the suspension of the country's fourth licensing round in September this year, the Sierra Leone Petroleum Directorate has embarked on an aggressive industrial engagement in a bid to stimulate investment interest in the country's basin. Since his appointment as Director General of the Sierra Leone Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kabar has engaged in serious efforts to rebrand the face of the Directorate into an institution capable of delivering on its mandate. He is an oil and gas professional with stronger educational background in oil and gas engineering, leadership management, and strategy, combined with viable successes in oil and gas industry. He is pretty much familiar with the challenges in the oil and gas industry.
I think that's a comparative advantage in that we have functional, functional advanced inventory of geological and geophysical data stored in data rooms in Sierra Leone and in the UK. I think this is a one-stop shop where investors come into the country, visit the data room, look at the data that we have, and what it does, it quickens the period of decision making, and it also gives a precursory knowledge to what is expected of the subsurface geology. And like I said, this is a comparative advantage that is, of course, a blessing to Sierra Leone.
Compiled by Abdul Rahman Kamara, read by Leonora Jawara.
Thank you so much, Leonora Jawara, for that comprehensive report. As I said, the Constitutional Review Committee, CRC, has concluded its deliberation. The CRC formally presented a draft copy of the Constitutional Report to the NAC, National Advisory Council, on Thursday, 11 July 2019. It was a public opinion is in respect of the draft constitution, especially in grey areas, that still leads to further absurdity. My guest in the studio is Sidia Tunis, the Deputy Publicity Secretary for the main opposition All People's Congress Party. Mr. Tunis, good morning. Welcome once more to the program.
Thank you.
Take us through some of the efforts by the party in building the blocks of unity and peace within the party.
Well, thank you very much. Immediately following the 2018 general elections, the party reconvened and set out a committee to look into reasons why we performed, performed, or why we did not win the presidential elections. A 9-man committee was constituted. They went around the country and they made series of recommendations upon, completion of their exercise. And one of the recommendations made was for our constitution to be reviewed, the December 5th, 1995 constitution to be reviewed. We also have other recommendations looking at unifying the party, looking at bringing on board different factions, looking at engaging people who may have been aggrieved as a result of events leading into the 2018 elections. So, we had all of those exercises going on, and as you can see, the constitutional review process has been completed somehow with the production of the first draft. The other processes will now follow to get us to the final conclusion on that. We also have other efforts being made to reach out to other members of the party who were not happy with events leading into the 2018 election. And all of those efforts are yielding fruits. We hope at the end of the day, people will come on board and we'll have a unified party going into the 2023 general elections.
Fundamentally, what were some of the issues that actually came to the fore as a body for you to understand that these were some of the contributing factors in the first place that deprived the party from winning the 2018 elections?
Well, clearly, many people within the membership think that we did not go into 2018 election as a unified party, largely due to how certain people were either appointed, elected, or selected into various positions leading into the 2018 elections, especially with regards with the flag bearer elections or selection, whatever you may call it. So as a result of that, a lot of people think that so many other party stakeholders were aggrieved and therefore probably did not 100% participate the way they should have leading into the 2018 elections. However, whether that is true or not, it is good that as a party we have done a post-mortem on some of these things, and we are now trying to see how we can address them holistically and sustainably, so that we do not get to a situation wherein we'll have a repeat of some of those events or those situations that cost us presidential election. We performed well with the parliamentary local council elections, but then when it came to presidential election, we fell short, and some of these things were highlighted: constitution, disunity among members, lack of proper preparedness, because we had so many different areas we looked at. And so we've learned our lessons, and we are putting structures and things in place to ensure that we are fully prepared for 2023.
So Tunis, granted that you might have gotten a clear insight into the draft review constitution 1995, is the third issue of selection or election still taking a center stage?
No, I mean, first of all, there is nothing like selection in the new draft. We totally took out selections, and we were very clear as to how, you know, um, party executives are put into positions, the duration of their positions, and their qualification to even contest for certain offices. And we were also very clear as to how our presidential candidate are chosen in the new constitution. We are very clear that presidential candidates have to be chosen through election. So are national party executive members. I mean, that is what we are proposing. However, for council symbol um, and parliamentary symbols, not only did we propose elections, but we also proposed consultation for very good reasons. Abdurrahman, we are all aware that one, we wanted to have a constitution that is forward thinking. And as you know, there are issues that are taking center stage not only in party politics now, but in national politics. You look at issues like gender, I mean, women's participation in politics. That is one main issue that we had in mind when we proposed consultation. Let us say, for example, you go into a constituency and you have three, four very popular candidates. You want to have a very productive parliament. You want to have very productive members of parliament with gender balance. I mean, you can decide among the candidates. I mean, they are all very popular. If you are to go into elections, the differences may not be great. And then you may decide as a party to hold consultations among them and probably say, okay, for us to increase our women's participation, let us, give an opportunity to, a female candidate. But apart from that, also, we did not want to tie a party through a constitution that is not flexible because of situations when it comes to parliamentary and local council elections. Let's say even the situation we find ourselves in now. You had parliamentarians that have gone through elections that have won clearly, defeating their opponents by in some cases, by over 8,000 votes. And now the court say, no, you are out. And in some cases, the courts have ordered a rerun. So what can you do in that case? Do you want to go back and do elections for a candidate that has already won election, but the court has ordered a rerun? You want to go back and do elections for symbols to be awarded in that situation? No. You can hold consultations and say, you know what, this person won. He or she is in this situation because of a court action. Let us give that person another opportunity. So we looked at all of these things. In situations of by-elections, you don't have to go all the time. Every time a by-election comes up, you have to go back and do elections for symbols to be awarded. So we looked at all of these and say, okay, in those cases, let us allow some amount of flexibility and ensure that we do multi-tier consultations to ensure that we have the best candidates, to represent us in councils and in parliament. But for presidential and national party executive positions, strict elections, whether it has to be national delegate election or primary or through primaries, I mean, that is another thing that has to be decided by the party going forward.
See, the two things. Could this be the collective conviction of the APC party, especially so its hierarchy, that the chairman and leader of the party, ex-president Anes Bai Kuruma, is rather in a formidable position to provide effective and efficient leadership of the party going to convention? That is one. Secondly, what will you say to those that are decrying the entire process, for which you've seen resignation of some, the likes of Mohammed Sheridan Kamara, Esquire, from the National Reformation Movement, saying that there are contentious issues for which they are still included in this revised constitution? until all of those hurdles are jumped over, they will not feel pleased with the entire process?
You know, in answering, I would try not to directly pick on Sheridan, but in answering that question, I would just explain the process that we went through in doing this constitution so that people will understand exactly, and then I will generally answer for those who have already gone ahead and given opinion to the public. We started our process, first of all, our maiden meeting by electing our chairman, vice secretaries, and then also dividing ourselves into two groups, consultation group and the research group. In the consultation group, I was the chairman and Sheridan was my secretary in the consultation group. And then, of course, we had the research committee. So the consultation committee was charged with the responsibility of going around this country to seek the views and opinions of the membership of the party with regard to some of these turning issues. We had questionnaires that we drew up with over 50 questions addressing various issues from structures of the party to elections method to selection, election, consultations, and people filled those questionnaires. And from the questionnaires, we did our report. The research committee also they did so many research, looked into other constitutions of parties in Sierra Leone, parties outside of Sierra Leone, in the Mano River, ECOWAS, African Union, United States, UK, and they also did their own report. And then we reconciled the two reports, state in a tabular form, stating issues against one another. Where the two reports agreed, we all went. There are issues that were turning issues. We debated these issues, and those are the reasons why we took so long on the constitutional review. Instead of 3 months, it took us 8 months because there are issues that we debated for over weeks. And one of those is the selection election consultation. We debated. And in the end, where we did not agree, even when we debated, we voted. So the majority always carried the vote. Let's take two issues, for example. Primaries. Many of us were against primaries because we thought it is cumbersome, it will be very difficult for our members to understand, and it will be very difficult for people to interpret. But people like Sheridan was in favor of primaries. And so we voted. Those who were in favor of primaries, including Sheridan, had the votes, and primaries made it into the constitution. When it came to consultation, we also voted. Sheridan was against it. We were in favor. Those of us who were in favor had the votes, and so it made it into the constitution. And so, if you are part
of the views were at par.
The views were at par, and it was a clear, democratic, and transparent process. But what people are doing, and which is bad, is whenever you are part of a process like this, what you try not to do is put yourself into the process, is to make your interest paramount instead of actually doing the work in the interest of the party and the country. And I remember very well when we started the process, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, lawyer Ibrahim Sori, did make it very clear to us that our primary focus should be Sierra Leone. Where do we want to see our country 20, 30 years from now? And then the second should be our party. And what we should try to do as much as we can as members of the CRC is to take ourselves out of the review process. And that is, let our interests don't be our paramount positions whenever we are deliberating. And that is exactly what I think is wrong with certain people. And I'll take it further. Constitutional review process, goes through so many stages, Abdurrahman. So if you are part of something for 7 months. We have deliberated, we have debated, we have voted, we have agreed with issues, and they have made it. You have disagreed with issues and they have made it. And then you come the eve of the release of the draft. You resign. And not only did you resign, you leaked the document to the public. Is that fair? It is not. Is that in the interest of the party? It is not. And is that reform generally? No. You cannot speak of reform when you cannot follow simple party procedures and processes. We all knew that there will come an opportunity wherein members will be asked to put in their input. So even if you did not agree with the zero draft, you still had opportunity to channel your submissions through the party's structures. But then if you with all the knowledge and knowingly does something different, and then who are you to blame? It means you had an ulterior motive, and that is why I am disappointed not only in Sheridan, but some people who are even more knowledgeable, who are even more informed in some of these things and how constitutional review processes are done, who have also written opinions and sent it out to social media. I mean, if you do that, then you are not doing it for the party. You are doing it for the public. And that is where some of us don't mince our words when we are responding to some of these things. If you know, now we have completed, we handed over to NAC. NAC has asked for people to send in their contributions.
Nationwide.
So, nationwide, party members. So if you are
even in the diaspora.
Even in the diaspora, the draft constitution is being sent to different organs within the party. So if you are a member of NRM and you are APC, all you needed to do was wait for this moment. You send in your views, and then they will be reconciled. If they think it is in the best interest of the party and the nation, they will be included. But if you had gone out and put in your views to the public, then I don't think your views were for the party.
Chilis, on the second question as to whether the former president, chairman and leader of the party, is in a formidable position to provide effective and efficient leadership for your party.
I think APC party post-election, regardless of what anyone will say, has been able to remain this formidable because of the leadership of former President Ernest Bai Koroma. Let us not make a mistake. I mean, we understand he's the former president. Yes, there are things he cannot do anymore as party chairman and leader. But the fact of the matter is, one, he still remains the most popular politician in this country. That one I cannot even, hesitate to state it. And he still remains very respectable, very respected individual in the country. And he still has the stature, the energy, to take us to, hit the next general elections. He doesn't have to still be the chairman and leader of the party. But of course, his leadership is very much needed. His leadership is very much required. And I think it would be a grave mistake for anyone in the APC to even think that we need to just put former President Ernest Bai Koroma aside and think that
so the call for him to step aside from politics is not only coming from within members of the party. Even out-group members, I consider them so, are saying, let him take a rest out of politics. Could that be feasible?
There is no law anywhere in the world that says when you are a former president, you should quit politics. I mean, look around the world. Tell me one instance since President Barack Obama left office that he has not campaigned for the Democratic Party when there are elections. Look around. Go to Ghana and tell me if former President Rawlings is still not very much involved with his NDC party. Go to Nigeria and see the likes of former President Obasanjo, if they are still not very much actively involved in party politics. There is nowhere in the world, there is no law that says when you leave as president, you shouldn't get involved in politics. Nowhere. Even late President Kaba campaigned in 2012, even when he was a little bit sick. He campaigned for the LCPP. I mean, you look, President Ernest Bai Koroma is still relatively young when you consider the age he is. He's in his 60s. He's very active. So why should people ask that he backs off politics? No, that is his personal choice if he wants to. But I don't think any law requires for him to do that. And I don't think people should force him into that. I don't think after President Bill leaves office, the SLPP would want him off politics or any other political party leader, whether it is Yum Kela, whether it is Mohamed Kamaremba, whatever it is. So I don't think APC should fall for that trap, because I believe it is a trap. People know President Ernest Bai Koroma is still the most popular candidate, and those who are calling for his resignation and for his stay off politics, I don't think that is a requirement or that is a law anywhere in our law books.
So in your view, that's not a legitimate call?
It is not a legitimate call, and it is not in the interest of the APC.
Okay, stay with me. He's Sidia Tunis, the Deputy Public Secretary for the main opposition All People's Congress Party. Let's go Fula. The Fulbe Progressive Union, in partnership with the Fula Tribal Headman Western Area, has officially launched a public fundraising program for the rehabilitation and expansion projects of the Jamil Rahman Masjid, commonly called the Fula Central Mosque at Magazine Court in Freetown. Hassanatu Bokari reports.
Mento na ifondo amenge konguni amenkotowi pelere joli dinono tito ulangu ameng barki ekisi eko antawadani yole didi meyidi Sierra Leone.
Fulbe Progressive Union, in collaboration with the Fula Tribal Headman Western Area, has officially launched a public fundraising program for the rehabilitation and expansion project of the Jamil Rahman Masjid, commonly known as the Fula Central Mosque at Magazine Court, Freetown. The Fulbe Progressive Union is the umbrella organization for all Fula organizations in the country. It was established as a youth organization for all Fula youths in the country in 1967, but it was later changed to a union to involve everyone. The masjid was the first Fula mosque in the country in 1954, and since its establishment, no major rehabilitation work was done, and this led the Fulbe Progressive Union to undertake the expansion project. Chairman of the program, Sheikh Farouk, spoke on the importance and the need to spend resources in building the house of Allah, which according to him is very much divine. Chairman Fulbe Progressive Union Western Area Alhaji Mohammed Karim Jallo said the idea behind the program is to expand the mosque and explain the structures being put in place and the time frame for the completion of the project.
You see, the thing the way the money sorry for the language, the iman is less. If the iman day, we know the draw for big masjid. Because if they say everybody go build one house there, 3-bedroom apartment, you go to American embassy and they give visa, you go to America and go give a house. Tell me, we go build a territory for the ground sorting. Because we believe say they know they lie to you. And likewise, we believe what Allah promised, definitely you know they lie to you, we go get up. That we continue to promote, to build this project. After this, then we will think of other one.
Minister of NIG Alhaji Kanja Sise expressed his feelings being around Fulas, which he said always puts him to challenge, and he is at the occasion because of the love he has for Islam, and also to represent the Madingo people. He pledges the support of the Madingo people towards the completion of the project.
Beautiful coincidence of the relationship between Madingo and Fula in the promotion of Islam in the country. And obviously any other tribe in the Ogonat and Chest for promote Islam in this country. past Fula and Madinga. Alhamdulillah for that. At a personal level, not only my love for Islam, but also my love for the Fula community. That make a day today. And inshallah, God will promote that relationship with the Fula almost on a daily basis. For some good reason, even my mama self born me, then when I will come up, they know that. Me, my mama and my papa, 100% Madinga. But my mama, in closest people that we believe with Nabo, that the Fula community. To the point that even before take in life, it tell me that they be the pray, by the way, the Fula mosque, that they be the pray permanently. Even before God take in life, now he tell me, being at the big one, he said the day God will take in life, prayer, those excuse from the Madingo then, let them allow the Fula them for bear me.
Honorable Cherno Majuba said the project is not political nor commercial, but divinely inspired to give everyone an opportunity to secure a place for him or herself in heaven. Dr. Mohammed Julde Jallo said they should build a mosque that befits the status of the Fulas in the country and officially launch the fundraising process. Acting Fula tribal headman Mohammed Saliu Jallo said even though the vice president is championing the project, the chieftaincy is providing the leadership for the project. For Star News in Freetown, I am Asnatu Eluma Bokari reporting.
Thank you so much, Hassanatu Bokari, for putting that report together. Still, let's come back to the question of this revised constitution. Will the revised constitution, if given a collective nod nationwide, will address the challenges meted out in the aspiration of symbols for the presidency of the party? Flag bearer.
I think it will
largely address.
It will largely address, and it will, ensure a fair play for all those who may be interested in contesting for that particular office, and it will leave no room for any, disgruntlement, except of course if people want to deliberately move into that direction even after the fair process may have been completed, because a human being is a human being anyway. I mean, if people can resign from the CRC, which was so fair and transparent, I mean, you can imagine what will happen. So yes, it will guarantee that. And Abdurrahman, there are so many areas that we looked at. We looked at even the structure of the party itself. We proposed so many different bodies to be added. Now we are talking about, having units like research unit, information communication technology unit, strategic and policy unit. I mean, these are all to ensure the functionality of the party. And we also clearly defined roles and responsibilities of national officers. You take, for example, the position of the chairman and the position of the secretary general, as far as their roles and responsibilities are concerned. In this new draft, we made it very clear the chairman, being the political head of the party, has his or her own roles and responsibility clearly spelled out, so as not to interfere with the administration of the party, which mainly is the responsibility of the Secretary General of the party. So we made all of those responsibilities clear in the new draft in a simplistic manner. And we also ensure that we cater for the people who we believe really own the party, the grassroots of the party, the market women, the disabled, the students, the nurses, the doctors. We catered for them, not only as recognizing them as bodies, but also make them part of the decision making. Like, for example, in the old constitution, the disabled wing was under the Youth League, for example. But you can agree with me that not all disabled are youth. So in this new constitution, we made them a separate body. And not only did we make the disabled wing a separate body or organ within the new draft, but we also ensured that they had a place in NAC, the National Advisory Committee, which is the second highest decision-making body. And also they have delegate status in the National Delegate Conference, which is the highest decision-making body. You know, the same with NOAS. NOAS now has separate delegate status from that being under the Youth League we have proposed. So we looked into all of those things, the Women's Congress, of course, and also, like I stated earlier, even where we did not make it an entrenched clause, but we also, as a forward-thinking party, and because nationally there has been this huge cry about the 30% quota for women in national politics. As a party, we want to take the lead on that. And though it is not an entrenched clause, but we brought it to the fore for the party leadership to begin to think about, you know, actually positioning women with the aim of achieving that 30%, especially when it comes to party positions or even awarding symbols for local councils and parliamentary elections. So these are all things that we looked at in this new constitution. And one area also that we place so much emphasis on is the financial accountability. We have a whole chapter on party finances. We have even proposed internal the audit, department, all these to ensure that party finances are handled in the way that they should be handled, so that in the end people are accountable for what they handle. Also, to ensure unity within the party, we propose elections management committee that will handle all internal elections within the party, and also propose a national elections coordinating committee to handle external and general elections. So all these is for us to be able to have a party that will function. This constitution will ensure, if adopted, it will ensure that the APC as a party functions even when it is in governance and in opposition. That was our major aim, and I think we were able to accomplish that with this new draft.
Moving forward with gauging the collective views of people at the end, where this particular revised constitution is going to give a collective nod. Where is the party as we speak, moving forward to 2023 general elections, in terms of regaining the lost glory?
I think this is the first step. Once we complete the constitutional review process,
on a very solid foundation.
Once we complete the constitutional review process with the structures, organs, bodies, and all of the different proposals that we have made in this constitution, and it is adopted in the mini convention maybe around October, depending on the timetable that will be communicated. We will look at the structure of the party now, wherein we will expect to have new executive members in place across the country, from polling center level all the way to national. And then, the new executive would then get to work immediately, everywhere, even in a diaspora, with the aim of taking us to 2023. And, the issue of flag bearer, I know, will follow. I'm not going to sit here and put the cart before the horse. But for now, the focus is the completion of this draft constitution. And once we get that in place, we'll look at the structure of the party, but still the restructuring is going on. A lot of consensus is being built. The momentum is building. I mean, I am always very much encouraged Abdurrahman, even in opposition, that the momentum for the APC is building even faster among the ordinary people than even us, the stakeholders within the party. When I move around the streets of Freetown and even in other parts of the country, even in the south and the east, I hear people telling me or requesting that, oh, Mr. Tunis, help Willa get party card. I am encouraged. Just yesterday, I was given a list of about 100 young people who came to me with a list that they want the APC card. So from here, I'm going to the party office and try to process their membership. So I mean, these are the encouraging signs. And this should send a message to the leadership of the party that we ought to put our house in order, because the people are looking up to us to provide them the requisite leadership that will take them to victory in 2023. And if we fail them, they will never forgive us. They are determined, they are ready, and we ought not to fail them. So we need to put our house in order. We need to put our acts in order. We have to be very bold and honest going forward. And I tell my colleagues this all the time. We are at a moment wherein, as leaders, as stakeholders, as members of the APC, we have to be bold, honest, and sincere with one another. How do we do that? If you know you're running for a position that you cannot be very effective in as far as performance is concerned, don't run. Allow someone you know within yourself that will perform better. If you know that as flag bearer, you cannot take us to victory in 2023, pitch tent with someone you know can, so that we go as a unified front and save us all the headaches. If you know you have a godfather that is aspiring to become a flag bearer, but you know cannot take us to victory, be bold enough to tell him or her that, please, let us wait, or let us allow this person, because we feel that for XYZ reasons, I think we have a better chance with that person. We should be able to do that, Abdurrahman. And we should also be able to swallow all our bitter pills that we've had for other people or other members of the party in the past.
I was just going to ask whether a committee has been set to look into all of those anomalies.
Yes, committees have been set and they are at work. We have committees reaching out to people and trying to bring everybody on board, and I think we need that. We need every single individual on board, every single member, even those who were angry and who left, even those who were suspended or expelled. We need everybody back into the party, because the 2023 battle is a
decisive moment.
It is a decisive moment, not only for the APC party, but for this nation. And the people of Sierra Leone are looking forward to that. And like I said earlier, we ought not to fail them.
Conclusively, Sidi, where do you see the huge bulk of your job coming, reaching the point of getting a collective nod on the Rivers Constitution as we move forward?
That is what we have started, to come on different, media outlets.
So in the next couple of months, we'll be seeing you traversing through the length and breadth of this
We
country?
have up to first week, I would say second week in August, for us to have done massive sensitization for people to send in their contributions. The deadline given is August 11th for people to be able to do that. And after that, we'll then reconcile. And once we do the final reconciliation, we'll then hand over the draft to the National Advisory Committee again. That draft will then be taken to the National Delegate Conference for further deliberations and possibly adoption. And then that will then now be sent to the PPRC, and then it will be gazetted, and it will become a new constitution, hopefully.
What's your call to the ordinary membership of the party as you move forward into this process?
I mean, my call to them is, first of all, I want to thank them. They have been, an inspiration to people like myself, considering the current circumstances. And I encourage them to stay the fort, continue to hold the fort, and continue to be law-abiding, to be patient, because in any case we need peace and stability in this country. To be law-abiding, to be supportive of the party and one another, because we need to look after one another, so that at the end of the day, those who are down, we can pick them up and we all move side by side together to victory in 2023.
Thank you so much, Sidia Tunis, for sparing the time being part of this program this morning and on some of these issues you've highlighted. Looking forward for you guys having a very conclusive reverse draft constitution.
Thanks for having me, Abdurrahman. So we good. Yeah.
Great. This is how I bring the curtain into this edition of the program with my studio guest, the Deputy Publicity Secretary for the main opposition, All People's Congress Party, Sidia Tunis. The program hopefully returns tomorrow, and you will have a repeat of it at night. My name is Abdurrahman Kamal. Have a wonderful day.